Thank you, Thelma. And like I mentioned, I'm Deanna Darlington. I'm going to be our MC this evening and introduce all of our guests. Before I do that, I'd like to share a little bit about me and how I know Thelma. I'm the founder of a boutique consulting firm, Links to Equity. So I focus on a lot of policy issues around health disparities, access, value. I do work in the breast cancer space. I do work across a number of disease states, and that's actually how I met Thelma. Back in 2011, I come from the biotech pharmaceutical industry, and every year we would have a health equity. I started a health equity program or summit. My CEO was a poet, so he was very much supportive of that effort. And we had two drugs, a multiple myeloma drug and a liver cancer drug. Multiple myeloma has a higher incidence in African Americans, so it only felt right that we should have this health equity summit every year, and it was an oncology space. So the first one was 2011, and Thelma was on top of my list to represent DC and at a community level, the importance of community. And if you're in community, you know Thelma. So I invited her that year, and I had that summit for 15 years after that. And I also was a speaker I emceed her January 2025 kickoff support group meeting. So I am honored to be here tonight with all of you. I love the theme that Thelma identified and really bringing our partners into our survivors' journey and better understanding what that journey looks like for the partner. Oftentimes that's overlooked, and we heard of caregivers here today, how important a caregiver is. And so I'm thrilled to be a part of tonight's support group meeting where we can engage with two very important caregivers and hear their journey and their story. Before we get into the meeting, I'd just like to have one housekeeping item. When we leave this evening, Thelma would like for us to take pictures. And we will be taking picture, and it's for her website. So it will be right outside this room in front of the floral arrangement. So if you can stay, please do stay so we can now take your picture. Okay, with that, I'm going to hand it over to Thelma. She's going to provide the official welcome. And I'll be right back as soon as she wraps that one up.
Thank you. Let's give Deanna a hand, because she's going to be shepherding us through this meeting tonight, even though we got started a bit late. And actually, we didn't get started late. It was something else that was late. So I have to make that clear. On behalf of the Board of Directors of the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund, I welcome you to our annual Breast Cancer Awareness Celebration. Tonight, we are paying tribute to two beautiful souls, Dr. Lori Wilson from Howard University and Bria Hickson, who is here represented by her husband, Major Johnny Dixon. And also online, we have the spouse of Dr. Lori Wilson. This will be an engaging afternoon hearing about the support, the challenge, the resilience, and the encouragement that they endured with their spouses, and now the journey that they will travel while their spouses are in heaven and as they become single parents. So I hope that you'll have an opportunity to really engage in the Q&A after you hear the two gentlemen speak. So I also want to thank Dr. Carla Williams for being here, not just today, but Carla, if I've invited Carla to 25 things since the support group started in April 2010, She's been to 24 of them. And Howard University was one of our first community partners. So I'm happy that Carla is not only here tonight, but I refer her to other organizations, and she's very good about upholding invitations around the city. The mission of the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund is to improve the overall well-being of women, men, and young girls. And we do this through outreach, support, and education to help to reduce the incidence and mortality rates in breast cancer. As many of you know, breast cancer rate in women look like me and all of you is at a very high rate, much higher than our white counterparts. And breast cancer is being diagnosed in Black women at a younger age, later stage, and a more aggressive type. So the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund is here to help to raise greater awareness of breast health, to remind everyone that early detection saves lives. And in the process, as you're traveling your journey, particularly to our newly diagnosed, that you know we are committed in traveling your journey with you because we believe that no one should have to travel their journey alone. Breast cancer or cancer in journey in general can be a lonely journey. So just know that we are here. And I also want to thank our guests who are online that we will hear from later on. Sylvia Powers from Dallas, Texas, who's a staunch supporter. Reverend Brian Hamilton from Westminster Church and also the home of Friday Night Jazz in DC and Blue Monday Blues. Okay. And so I will now turn it back to Dina. Thank you.
Okay, as Thelma indicated, we are blessed to have Reverend Brian Hamilton with us this evening. He's on the Zoom call, and he's going to provide us with our prayer. But also, we would like Thelma has requested that Reverend Hamilton share a bit about of his history at Westminster Presbyterian Church and the work that he's done with Thelma over the years through the Southwest Renaissance Development Corporation, and then obviously the work that he partnered with Thelma with at the Westminster Presbyterian Church. Reverend Hamilton, can you please provide us with a little bit of background on your work with Thelma and the Breast Cancer Fund, and then lead us into prayer? Reverend Hamilton, did you hear me?
Did you hear that?
I don't see him on there.
Is it connected?
Okay. I don't, unless he's on an iPhone, I don't see him. Should we come back to him, Thelma? Okay. And are we gonna light a candle? Will we do that later? Okay. And that's a little, so I see us passing them out, so we'll come back to that as well.
You want me to?
Okay, so next I have the honor and the pleasure of introducing Dr. Carla D. Williams. It's my pleasure to introduce her. She's the Associate Professor of Medicine and Public Health and Interim Director of the Howard University Cancer Center. Dr. Williams' work focuses on understanding and reducing cancer-related health disparities and engaging underrepresented communities in research. We are honored to have her here with us this evening, and I'm looking forward to her opening remarks, and she will also provide our closing remarks for us this evening.
This appears to be the best position for the Zoom, so I'll stay here and try to speak clearly for the folks in the room. Hopefully everyone is hearing me. Okay. Yep, that still works. So thank you, Thelma, for inviting me to participate again in the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund monthly support group. Thelma always calls out that Howard University and some of our colleagues were among the first researchers and guests to participate in the old building. I can still see it in my mind. So I think the theme that you have selected for tonight is so important and so underappreciated and overlooked. We know, as people have said throughout the room, that no one goes through a cancer battle alone, but the relationship between spouses is a very special one. So that theme, two hearts, one battle, couldn't be more true, because when you make that commitment where we say, you know, two become one and they're walking that path together, it's a different type of caregiver experience. Of course, the family begins to grow, you're planning lives together, and now this battle comes to you as a couple and as a unit. So thank you, Thelma, for elevating this topic that doesn't get discussed as often as it should. And I think we're going to hear from people who really have that most real experience to share with us and to encourage us and inform us about not only their experience, but something that we can learn and carry forward to other, to our own experiences. I will just say that I want to shout out while I have the floor. I should do it at closing, but just in case I forget, I want to shout out our lovely Howard University students who have served tonight so admirably. And thank you, Thelma, for supporting this next generation. At this point in my career, I'm all about what I'm going to leave as a trail for others to follow. And thank you, Thelma, for bringing in young people to learn about this work and make sure that we not only continue the work, but we change the narrative so that we have different conversations about life with and after cancer. And that is the work that I'm committed to at the Howard University Cancer Center, making sure that we don't continue to have the very same conversations year after year after year, but we change the conversation in terms of the way that we screen, detect, treat, and survive cancer. And importantly, going back to the theme, making sure that families and couples and children are cared for throughout the cancer experience. So thank you, Thelma, for bringing this to life.
So much. Thank you for those wonderful opening remarks. And now I am here to introduce the two gentlemen that are. Oh, Scarlett's gonna okay. So we're gonna have a lighting ceremony. Does Scarlett want to? Okay.
They're in your memory, they're never lost. They're never lost. You're looking at them in your kids. You're looking at them in your family members. So this afternoon, we want to honor everyone who we have lost to the fight, but especially this evening, we want to honor Dr. Lori Wilson, and Mrs. Bria Hicksman. Um, Memories are bittersweet sometimes. But then again, like I said, if someone lives in your heart and you love them, it goes on forever and forever as long as you say their names. So if each one of you would turn your candle on so that in unison now, just hold your candle up, please. So if you've lost someone to the fight, I would like for you to whisper their names in memory. If you know someone who's lost someone, lift their name in memory. Good, good. So we have a single light this afternoon. Um, Again, more hearts and more memories that we have. So I ask for you to close your eyes for a moment as we burn our candles and think about our loved ones. Thank you. You will turn your candles off, someone will collect them. Again, thank you. And remember, the thing that we always have is our memories. We will have our memories. And for a ceremony like this, we're just bringing it to your forefront. So never forget. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to move us towards our guest speakers this evening. As Dr. Williams mentioned, and I mentioned at the onset of the program, this topic that we are focused on this evening is so important and I think oftentimes overlooked. So I'm so grateful that we have Mr. Chris Dolphin and Major Johnny Hickson to be a part of this evening discussion to share with us their journey and their representation of two hearts in one battle. What did that mean for them? And a little bit about what that journey entailed for them. So I'm going to pivot the discussion over to our special guest, Chris Dolphin, and then Major Johnny Hickson. Both walk beside extraordinary women, Dr. Lori Wilson, who I had the great honor of knowing, and Bria Hickson, as they faced breast cancer with courage, faith, and grace. Their journeys remind us that love endures beyond illness and resilience lives in both our hearts and both hearts of the partnership. With that, I'd love for Chris to share his journey, and then we'll move over to Major Johnny Hickson.
Hi, good evening. My name is Chris Dolphin and sorry I couldn't actually stand there in person, but still here via Zoom to support Thelma, who's always been supportive of the cause and carrying on Lori's legacy. I've been a caregiver and advocate now for many years, even before Lori's diagnosed. I had the blessing of being the proud husband of Dr. Lori, who many of you know, a brilliant cancer surgeon, a woman of faith, and an extraordinary human being. For those of you who don't know her story, I'll try to make it brief. In the 56 years she was on this planet, she accomplished a lot. But to stay focused on what this meeting is about, in 2013, she was first diagnosed with 2 different types of breast cancer. The dreaded triple negative in one breast, and forgot exactly the other type, but I believe it was her too, possibly. I always focus on the triple negative because being the more aggressive. She faced that battle with unimaginable courage, undergoing a bilateral total mastectomy after chemotherapy and before radiation. This all concluded with a diagnosis of no evidence of cancer, which I always found a funny term. And I was just speaking the other day with another breast cancer survivor about that, because they say no evidence of cancer, and yet the breasts are gone. So, but anyways, we were grateful and blessed to have diagnosed in 2014, and continue on doing our best to support cancer research, and Lori as a cancer surgeon, working closely with Dr. Carla at Howard University and with organizations as Thelma's, until January 2019, when she went to the hospital for what she thought was a slip disc or, pain in her back, only to find out that the cancer had returned, and this time it was metastatic, and basically all over her spines and multiple organs. But we didn't stop the fight there. As a matter of fact, it encouraged us to be even more aggressive about it, and we decided to take every opportunity to get more involved in clinical trials. This was something that Lori already was a strong proponent of, but now she actually became a participant of. And I stand here to tell you that apart from, of course, the grace of God, it's through clinical trials that she actually lived 3 years, probably longer than the original diagnosis in January of 2019. Yesterday actually was the 3rd anniversary of her home going to heaven in October 14 of 2022. And at the time, a few weeks before she passed, when I was sitting there with her and her doctor, and we were having a conversation about where we stood, and I was still having a hard time accepting that it was the end of her journey. Both the doctor and Lori told me that we should be grateful because based on the diagnosis in January 2019 and the fact that now it's 3.5 years later at the time, we got to experience a lot more of the love and the opportunities to help a lot of people. She helped a lot of people during that time that wouldn't have been possible without the clinical trials that she participated on. And even though we lost her to cancer, obviously I have continued to stay engaged and be more focused on supporting caregivers, because even though there is a couple of books out there, there is no experience as having gone through it. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit off tonight. I had expected to be there, but it's been a busy day, and of course, this time of the year, and specifically this date, it's quite challenging. But I do want to encourage everybody to have the conversations, because some of what I have learned since her passing is the genetic connection between Black men's prostate and colon cancer and Black women's breast cancer. And I don't believe it's a coincidence that when her father passed over 30 years ago, at the time he had prostate cancer. And even though her BRCA gene testing was what they call it, I'm trying to think of the term, but undefined, there's definitely a connection there, and that's a conversation that I definitely will be having with my son. Not yet, he's 13, but as he gets older and becomes a teenager, to make sure that he is very proactive about anything related to his prostate and colon, not only as a young Black man, but also based on, as Lori used to say all the time, evidence-based knowledge and research. So I'm open to questions, but in conclusion, I want to focus and remind everybody to have the family conversations about the history of cancer, not to be shy about it. And if you already had a diagnosis or had experienced it before, to make sure to ask about clinical trials, demand information, and claim your place in the future of cancer care. Be your best fearless advocate. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris, for those words of wisdom. I'm going to move over to our next speaker. So Major Hickson will talk to us about his journey and his experience. Oh, but right here, you're in front, right there's good.
You're welcome. I'm not going to, I think I can project. Everybody can hear me just fine? Thank you so much. I'm going to stand right here. Yeah, I'm able to project. So if I'm too low, just let me know and I'll speak up a little louder. So got some note cards here because, this is really fresh to me. This is actually 2 months to today that my wife passed away, August 15th. So I got note cards here to help me get through it. So please forgive me if I'm referring back to them, but it's to help me get through this. So first and foremost, I do want to thank God for the strength and the grace and just having the ability to stand here today. Because I tell you, just being closer to God has helped us throughout our journey, and it's helping me on this end as well. And to my wife, Bria, her strength and her courage and her faith continue to guide me every single day. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about her, that I don't talk to her, that we don't pray to her, that we just receive her however she is and welcome her into our lives in whatever capacity, whether it's wind, sound, kids running around yelling at me, whatever it is, I'm just welcoming it, and I appreciate my wife for just being present still today. And then Miss Thelma, I do want to give you a special shout out. I appreciate you. Ever since we got here about 4 years ago, Bria was really involved in advocating and actually became an ambassador for your foundation. So I appreciate this being an outlet in the community for my wife, and I appreciate everything that you all have done. I believe this is probably maybe the first time, second time that I've been physically here. Um, I intentionally took a back seat to ensure that she was able to spread her message and share her journey. And I supported her on the back, on the, behind the scenes, but wanted to make sure that she was up front and center throughout her entire journey. And then lastly, to our family and friends, we got a lot of people online here. My sister, my friends from Facebook, just a lot of folks here for support. We talk about support and community, and that's very important to this overall journey. Um, so I appreciate the kind introduction. I'm just gonna go by Johnny tonight, not Major Hickson or nothing like that. Just call me Johnny. I'm here just representing my wife and just helping to advocate and continue to raise awareness, something that I promised her that I would do. So I'm here 60 days out, doing my best, and I will continue to do it as long as I'm living and breathing. All right. So today's theme: love, loss, resilience, and navigating the physical, emotion, and spiritual impact of breast cancer. So I'm gonna start with love, right? For those of you who are not familiar with our journey, I met my wife in college at Old Dominion University, sophomore year, 2011. Um, we got married October 18th, 2013. So this weekend would have been our 12th anniversary. Um, and we do the breast cancer walk up here in DC every single year. So this year will be my first year doing it without her. And we got a lot of friends and family and church support that's going to be around to just make sure that we're able to get through this walk, as a group, as a family. Um, so we got married. I'm gonna be brief to just give you a little background. I got married and immediately took my wife overseas to South Korea. Right. We left the United States and we traveled the world. And that was one of my biggest things for her, was to give her experiences. She had never moved out of Virginia. She went to college at Old Dominion. So I was in the military and we said, we out of here. Right. We're gonna go experience life together and we're gonna start a family. So I had my first daughter, Elena, in South Korea. She's 10 now. Um, Everybody loved Korea. Actually, just to um, full circle here, Bria didn't like Korea. She didn't understand the language. I got emails from her saying, "Babe, I'm ready to go home. I don't like it." But ironically, her last trip that she wanted to go on was to South Korea. So I took her to South Korea in April. We had an amazing time. Just went full circle, brought our daughter around all the places that um, me and her mom went and where she was born at, things like that. So we had a good opportunity to do that. We've been all around the world. We didn't, slow down on experiences. We lived life from the very beginning, right? Our love was deep and it was true from the start. Um, so just how love has impacted breast cancer and how we navigated, through our, I won't say waters, but our journey, right? So I will say this: love isn't easy, right? For those of us who are married or who have been married, you understand that there are challenges in marriage, right? But it's up to those two people, right, to come back together. Right? There's times when we was mad at each other for months, right? But we figured it out. We come back to each other and we get through it, right? So we talk about the theme, two hearts, one battle, right? It was really two hearts, one life. You know what I'm saying? So that's how we lived from Jump Street. And we got to experience life. And I would say we were progressing. We were doing so well. We were tackling life, traveling, living in Hawaii, like I said, South Korea, climbing the Great Wall of China, you name it, we've done it. And 2020, my wife was pregnant with our youngest, my son, and perfectly healthy specimen. My wife didn't even have a cold, nothing. Um, and as she was getting ready to have the baby, her breast was getting kind of like reddish, right? No lumps or anything like that. And then the doctors were saying mastitis, right? Clogged ducts, your body's getting ready for to have a baby, and they just kept giving us antibiotics and things like that. So that was in April. My son was born in June, and she was actually diagnosed stage 4 in October. So we didn't go through stages or anything like that. It was, hey, sit down. We got to tell y'all something. It's stage 4. This is how long you got. So from right there, um, I recommitted to her. Right, I told her I signed up for this. No, it wasn't no thought ever crossed my mind of leaving my wife, or our kids, anything like that. That love that we had catapulted us to the next level. It wasn't even a question. I'm here. I'm going to support you. I signed up for this. Um, and I would say throughout our journey, even in these past, so she was diagnosed in 2020. She just passed away 25. So it was a 5-year journey, right? So 5-year battle. We went through it. But I will say within that journey, I think we reached the pinnacle of love, right? So it's not really about the materialistic things. It's not really about what you have, the houses, the cars, or anything like that. It's about being committed to that person and being there when they need you. We always thought it was going to be me because I'm the one in the military jumping out of planes and going to war, things like that. So I was like, I'm gonna have my person that's gonna take care of me, right? But it ended up being the opposite. Um, so we talk about caregiving. We talk about the mastectomies. We talked about the um, all the CT scans, the MRIs, the oophorectomies. You name it, we've been through it. Right? I held her hand through it all. I was her chauffeur. I was her cook. I was her nurse. You name it, right? But that's what we signed up for as partners in this. So I encourage for the folks that do have partners to just be present with that person that is going through that. Because it is very important for the overall mentality of that person who's going through it on how they're going to receive treatment, on how that body is going to welcome and receive that treatment. So I'll say if you are a caregiver, just continue to be present for your significant other. Um, Moving on to loss, right? Because we started at stage 4, we almost immediately started preparing for loss, right? It was a weird feeling. We was I'm not 29, right? We was 29. We was super young, but we had to do things that people don't normally do at such a young age, right? Talking wills and uh, talking to funeral directors, all types of stuff, you name it. These are things that you do with your partner, a part of this journey, right? And that all leads up to loss because it's in our case it was imminent, right? So what I would say is you control the narrative, right? It doesn't have to be all bad and sad and gloomy and so forth in your life and your family, right? Your mentality, your strength is gonna push your family. It's gonna guide your family to overcome whatever obstacle is in front of them, right? So I would say Bria did that, right? Everything that she did was handled with grace, right? We did treatment at two o'clock. We was picking up kids at 4 o'clock, and we was playing with kids at 4:30 at the park, right? Everything was so graceful, and it was just so beautiful. Um, I watched my wife grow her relationship with God, right? I'm still on my journey because I don't know what's going on. I'm just walking. I'm just continuing to move forward, but I watched her, right, as she grew closer to God. And I think that was very important to loss, right, when it happened, right, because she was right where she wanted to be, how she wanted to do it, right? Everything was in her control, right? No medicine. They did the hospice people, they gave me a list of medicines. I was like, my baby don't take medicine. Like, I can't give her this. So we gave her medicine one time and she handled everything else on her own. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And we had so much family and love and support there. But that was all because of her, right? It was how she wanted to do it, right? We didn't do a facility or nothing like that. We did it in our home, right? A part of our family. And she was surrounded by so much love and support that I hope one day that I get to experience that type of love and support when it's my time. So I will say, um, prepare your families, right? Have the tough conversations. It's okay. It's okay. It's only going to help, right? It's going to be hard at the time, but it's going to help on the back end, right? So I'm standing here today because of the tough conversations me and my wife had and the strength that she instilled in me. I joke around all the time that, I've been, I'm in the military, but I've been in training for the last 5 years. You know what I'm saying? I I know how to wash dishes now. I can wash clothes. I'm vacuuming. I gotta clean. These are things that my wife took care of, but got to step up, right? So I've been in training for the past few years, and we doing so well right now. Everybody has responsibilities, and we taught our girls how to be independent, and everybody's moving how they should, how mom would have wanted them to move. So I say have those conversations, be honest with your family, be honest with your kids, and that will help them, with, on their journey. And then the last thing I'll mention here is resiliency, right? It's the last part of this, I believe, of the message here on the theme. But I think resiliency is throughout the journey, right? It's how you're going to handle the bad news, right? How are you going to, look your kids in the eye or your spouse in the eye and say, hey, they told me we got weeks, right? All right, let's go to dinner, have fun. Or you can go home and cry about it. You know, we chose to do the opposite. We traveled to South Korea. They said don't do it. We got up and left the next week. We was gone. And matter of fact, she came when we came back. She was healthier than before we left. So I talk about it all the time to like say, don't be so caught up in what the doctors are saying. You know your body. You can feel what's going on. And she was really big on that, right? So we went, we had a great time, and you know, things, were different on the back end. But if we hadn't gone on that trip and I had canceled that trip, the amount of resentment or, uh, forget the word, but uh, I would have been hurt knowing that I didn't give her what she wanted in the end. So we did that. I encourage people to have those tough conversations and just live life. You'll hear it on the TikTok videos and all the videos that she's posted. Live life, enjoy life, and experience it. Um, and then the last thing, I think my time is about up here. Um, last thing I will mention is community, right? Community and support. I've had so much love and support just based off of the folks that she's met. Like I've never met a lot of these people here, but I know in previous meetings the arms were wrapped around my wife, right? So the community is very important to that person that's going through their journey. So I say, Miss Thelma, thank you so much for building this community, for not only, you know, um, I want to say I want to say the complete community, not just for older women, right? I want to say it's younger women as well that is coming out and that are starting to do these walks and become more advocates. I'm seeing more people being more vocal about, hey, this don't look right, right? And my wife has talked to people, hey, go to the doctor. Don't just, hey, it's gonna go down. Go. Just it don't hurt to get checked. You know what I'm saying? I know sometimes we don't want to go to the doctors, but that is an important thing to do. And you don't have to wait until you're 40, for your mammograms. Go if you experience something, talk to the doctor and be an advocate for yourself. That's very important. Um, so in closing, um, I carry my wife's memory, not sorrow, but strength. I have so much joy. I'm always smiling because I know that's what she wanted, and she prepared me for this. She prepared me to stand here and do things like I'm doing today and going forward. So I will continue to be that light, that strength, and that hope for people that even though it's happening to people, it's okay, right? You control that narrative, right? Let's continue to, be there for the people that are left behind, right? Because it's not easy. I got 3 kids, 10, 7, and 5. House is crazy, off the chain. So so I have a lot of love and support with people that's been helping me out and bring and coming to watch the kids and doing hair. So that community is super duper important. So I thank you so much, Ms. Thelma, for building that community. To the survivors and caregivers, like I mentioned, you're not alone, right? If anybody ever needs to talk to me, I'm always going to be open. Um, I'm not going nowhere. I'm gonna be here in this area. So if you need me to ever come talk to people, or there's somebody or some people that's going through a similar situation or just need to talk, I'm here because I've literally just gone through it. And I have a different perspective than most people, right? I'm thankful for it. I'm joyful that I got to witness something like that because it was just so beautiful the way that it was handled. So so I will honor that. If there's anything or anybody that ever needs to talk, I will definitely be here. And to the men and the husbands and fathers, just be present. Be present for your wife. Be present for your significant other. I struggled with that for a while. I went through some times where I just couldn't get off the couch. And she like, hey man, what you doing, bro? She like, get up. She in there working. I'm laying on the couch. Get up and do something. Go cut the grass. Go wash the car. Go do something. Um, so be present and be patient, right? Your significant other is gonna go through a lot. There's gonna be a lot of emotions, and it's okay for them to let them out and console. Y'all there for each other. This is what you signed up for. This is, as I keep saying, this is what we signed up for. And then lastly, like I said, the supporters, thank you for building a community. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for allowing me to spend time with you all today. I hope that I get invited out again to talk and just meet people and just share our story. And yeah, I'm just so grateful and so happy to be here. It's a great group of people. I'm so thankful, and thank everybody for their time tonight. I hope everybody took something out of this, and hope to see you again soon.
Thank you all so much for sharing those beautiful stories. They were very courageous, heartfelt, and just much gratitude to both Johnny and Chris for sharing two very different perspectives, but both perspectives were so rewarding and informative and full of love. So thank you. Um, with that, we have questions for these two great speakers that just shared their journey with us. If anyone has any questions that they'd like to ask either one of them, either on the Zoom call or in the room here tonight, please. I think that from my perspective and viewpoint, they were both amazing and just so full of so much knowledge. So Thelma, yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'd like to know from both of them, what one thing that you wish in hindsight now that you had done more of or less of? He said he was going to let Chris go first.
Chris, you're going to want to go first, Chris?
Sure. Worry.
Oh, you have to. Can you turn it up so we can hear? Well, hold on, Chris. We're turning it up so we can hear you. Oh.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can, yes.
Okay. Worry. That's something I would have done less. The great expression I learned since is worry is a conversation you have with yourself about things you can do nothing about. Prayer is a conversation you have with God, who is somebody that can do everything. So, so that's one thing that I definitely wish I would have spent less time doing, and I'm still working on that one. Is worry less and do more. Um, I really, I really enjoy uh, Johnny's talk because, and I feel for you, brother. And you can call me anytime. I got now 3 years, but I do remember those first 6 months, like you were, and it was hard to move. It was hard to do what I was supposed to be doing that whole first year. Um, while she was alive, it wasn't an option because as anybody who knows Lori, I mean, she was in this cancer battle before she even experienced cancer, and I always have been her support system. So we we were going. Um, so so it's kind of funny because uh, being busy, like you talked about, getting off the couch, doing something, even if it's absolutely not related to supporting them or this cancer battle, it's still a good thing. It's still better than sitting idle and letting intrusive thoughts, you know, take you to a not so great place. So that's my answer. I wish I would have done less. As far as doing more, I'm always still looking to do more, as Thelma knows, as Carla knows, and those in the room that know me. Um, but you do what you can, and just participating in events like this and supporting organizations like this. Like I'm really proud that Johnny's out here 2 months after. Like I said, it took me 6 months to gather myself. So
I would say anything different.
can we get the phone or the mic to him?
Yeah,
I
can you
can't hear
hear
him.
me better? How about now?
Better.
All right. I think I would say, I mean, I've been hardened by the military, so I think just being more emotionally available um, could have, you know, maybe allowed us to connect a little more. Um, I'm more task oriented, mission focused type, so I do think there was caged up emotions that I did not let out because I was just so focused on getting her treatment, getting her through her journey, through her battle, that I didn't do anything for myself at the time, which is fine because I put my baby first. It's all good. But I think just being more emotionally available for her, I think is something that I would have uh, done differently.
Any other questions? This comment is for you, Chris. I want to let you know that you were a caregiver to me and you didn't even really know it. Lori was an idol. Well, I idolized Lori. And I had set up a meeting with her and she didn't show up. And I thought, oh, that's not like Lori, but fast paced, made it happen, got someone else to do it, really short notice. And then maybe a month later, I don't know how I found out that Lori had passed. And I was just devastated. And so I wrote on Facebook, like a tribute to that Facebook, sorry, LinkedIn, a tribute to her after finding out. And you responded that same day. And it was a healing to me. So Thank you for being a caregiver to me and not even knowing me. Any other questions? Sure. Oh, wait, you know what?
My name's Anthea Peters, and I had the opportunity to bond with your wife at a fashion show we had last year. Yeah, she was fly. And she had a beautiful dress and didn't have shoes. And I loaned her shoes because they were like a 9.5, and she could wear these shoes that I had gotten from, they were too flashy for me, but she wore them like a queen. And I want to let you know that, to let your children know that they have aunties here at the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund. We loved your wife, and I don't know how it is to lose a mother at such a young age. I know it's difficult. And is there anything that we can do? We are here for you. You're welcome.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the Zoom call or any more from the room? Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap this portion up of the meeting. Again, I have to give, let's give a round of applause to these two brave men. All right. Thank you so much again for sharing with us. Next, we're going to have a community partners update. And Thelma's going to talk a little bit about her role with ACS and her ambassadorship there.
Thank you. And I guess if I didn't say this, back to the previous conversation, when I learned both about Lori and Bria, it was a difficult time. So many of you know that I was awarded the first Lori L. Wilson Conquering Cancer Award from Howard University. And I was awarded that great honor on a Thursday night, and Friday morning, Lori passed. So I had to reflect back on being the first. What is it that I have to do now? Because I didn't really get to talk to her to have a blueprint. But then I realized that if she thought, and those on the committee who nominated me, that I was the right person, then I knew that I had to just go out there and do it, continue doing what I'm doing, and look at other opportunities as to how we can help to reduce the incidence and mortality rate of women of color, particularly, but of breast cancer across the board. And then it was the conversations that I was having on a regular basis. The last week before Bria passed, and what she wanted was to make sure that people knew about IBF, IBC, inflammatory breast cancer. And it's a cancer that still a lot of people are not familiar with. My college roommate transitioned of IBC more than 10 years ago. So I was familiar with it. And then to have someone else close to me to depart from that. But we talked regularly that week. And I remember her saying, Miss Thelma, all I want to do is to see my children go to school on Monday. Maybe Johnny can explain the significance of that. And I said, well, of course, you're going to see them go to school. I mean, you may not, based on what you're telling me, you may not see them graduate, but you're going to see them go to school Monday morning. I didn't know that her time was that imminent. And so when she passed on a Friday and Johnny called me Monday morning to tell me that, you know, you always start wondering, which is why I asked the question, what else could I have done? Was there something that I missed? Because I never really asked her, has the doctor given you a time to actually prepare for? Because I'm still thinking that that's down the road. So it's a lesson. It's a lesson, you know, that we must, you know.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
We spent time with Miss Thelma like in the last couple of weeks, where it was like, yo, I gotta go up there. There's a food drive, and I'm just spending time with Miss Thelma. Drove her up here, and I sat in the car with her. I talked for like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
I just sat in the car. I was like, y'all go do y'all thing. So what's crazy is she's telling about the story with the school. School started on Monday, bring it past but all the book bags were packed. All the school supplies were organized in each of the kids' cupboards. And all I had to do was wake up and take the kids to the bus. So she had planned and prepared every single thing. And that's just how my baby was. That's how she did. So that's why we are like we are now, because that's how I was trained. So it's all good. We're happy. We're happy we had to spend some good time together. Nothing we could have done. So we're very blessed.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So we'll still talk for and carry on Bria's legacy and Lori Wilson's legacy about triple negative breast cancer and inflammatory breast cancer. They are the two most aggressive types of breast cancer. Fortunately, we have a treatment or some treatment now to help with triple negative, but we don't have a treatment for inflammatory breast cancer. Oh, it's 5, 7, and 10. Yeah. The little boy, Johnny the Fourth, can you believe that? So when Bria was pregnant, that's when she learned she had it. And so you often think about knowing you're having a child that you won't be around to see them grow up. And I remember when she said he wouldn't nurse. And she had to keep going back and forth to the doctor, and they were telling her. And I remember you said they were giving her antibiotics, and I'm thinking, here she is pregnant, and they're pumping those antibiotics in her that aren't working. But anyway, I digress, but I had to say that. The American Cancer Society Voices of Black Women is basically what I was just talking about. It is a study that ACS is doing to find out why women, Black women, are dying so much of different types of disease, and of course, breast cancer being one of them. So it is a study that we're recruiting 100,000 women from the ages of 25 to 55. Now, if you're not 25 years old, it doesn't mean that you can't be an advocate and use your voice to help spread the word about it. And if you're like me, 5 days over 55, it does not mean that we can't help spread the word, because we have grandchildren, great grandchildren, we have nieces, nephews, neighbors, that we can spread the word to. I have placed cards in everyone's gift bag that you will get, so that you will know more about it, and you can just go online in the interest of time. You can just go online to voices.org and learn more about the study. And please consider asking those who are eligible to sign up for the study and keep spreading the word. If you'd like to take some of those cards to your churches or your community centers or places that you frequent where you will see people who might be interested in it, by all means do that. Is there a quick question about Voices of Black Women? Okay, thank you. Okay.
So our next community update is from our community partner, Sylvia Powers. She's with the National Consortium of Breast Cancers in CBC. She'll also be joining us in January of 2026 as a speaker in our program in our monthly support group meeting to discuss advocacy, what it is, and why it matters. Sylvia, please feel free to share your update with us.
Thank you so very much.
Hold on one second, Sylvia. There we go. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so very much. Again, I'm Sylvia Powers. I'm with the National Consortium of Breast Centers, NCBC. Thelma is an amazing partner for that organization. She is my co-chair for our advocacy committee. She diligently worked with us as we put together the entire program for our March 2026 conference. She is also going to be a speaker at that conference for our advocacy summit, which will be dealing with the importance of support groups. I have just been so proud of the efforts that she's made and the content of the support groups every month. The information is absolutely amazing. The testimony from these two young men is there are no words to really express how I feel about how they have been very vulnerable and shared what it's like to have someone that they love transition from breast cancer. And as Thelma mentioned in reference to inflammatory breast cancer, it's sort of like a hidden thing in our community. When I say community, I don't just mean African American community. I mean the breast cancer community, because as October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, everyone is talking about check for lumps, but nobody really addresses the fact that there is a very aggressive form of breast cancer that does not come in the form of a lump. And I am excited to be working with the National Consortium of Breast Centers and the Inflammatory Breast Cancer Research Foundation to help bring more awareness to that issue. We're working on a campaign called Not Just a Lump, so that people understand that there are forms of breast cancer that aren't in the forms of a lump. And we want to share stories of inflammatory breast cancer survivors. Also, the gentleman that shared his testimony of walking beside his wife. I think sharing those kind of testimonies so that people are aware of inflammatory breast cancer. One of the, I think the most devastating things about the disease is because it comes in the form of or appears as a rash, and it's not a lump, that many times it goes undiagnosed until it's too late. So I think I'm very thankful for platforms like this where we can get that information out. our registration has opened if there are breast cancer survivors, advocates that are on the line, or people in the medical facility, because there will be CME credits for the conference. Please inbox me. I will put my information in the chat. I am extremely committed to supporting the Thelma D. Doan Breast Cancer Fund, because they're doing the work. Thelma's in the trenches. I've seen the work and the results of what she does, and there's only one word for it, and that is absolutely amazing. I thank you guys for the opportunity to continue to let you know what NCBC is doing. I thank you for the partnership that we've had with this organization in embracing information and disseminating information. And we look forward to a continued work with the organization and with this platform as far as the support group is concerned.
Thank you, Sylvia, and we look forward to seeing you in January. So now we're going to do our announcements. Ms. Jones, we can take care of that for us.
Thank you. So in the interest of time, the most important announcement is our breast cancer survivors with disabilities. And we've done that topic for 8 years in a row, I think, and it's getting bigger and broader each year. Sherry Dinkinson, who's on the line, and Andrea Jackson have both participated and helped to make that meeting a success. Our December meeting will be on children of breast cancer survivors, children with parents of breast cancer survivors, living and deceased. And so if you know someone who have kids, or they are a son, daughter, or guardian who've gone through the loss of a parent and or a guardian, please tell them about the meeting. And I'm pleased that Barbara Harrison, who is a geneticist, is on the line. Barbara's with Howard University. Some of you may remember that she did a wonderful speaking engagement at our May event right here in this very room. So thank you, Barbara, for joining us. Then there's the breast cancer walk coming up on Saturday, October the 18th at the Tidal Basin. I encourage all of you to join in on that. And to remind you that my son, Jamal Jones, is leading a campaign to raise $3,500. We're not quite there, but I know tonight, before I leave here, many of you are going to give me a donation that's going to put us closer to our goal. Is that right? Thank you very much. This is what I love. Dina said she just does what I asked her to do. So it is all for a good cause. And both Lori Wilson and Bria Hickson were actively involved with the American Cancer Society. As a matter of fact, that's where I met Bria and Johnny at an ACS event in Northeast. So please remember to make a donation to the campaign to help Jamal achieve his $3,500. And also, I wanted to acknowledge a good friend of mine and board member, Miss Jan Adams. Oh, they didn't even know they were sitting next to someone important. So Jan is the owner of 3 great businesses: JMA Solutions, Ideal Electrical Company, and she's the first African American woman to own a professional women's soccer team called it's called DC Power. And she was also the first African American woman to purchase a condo in the Amaris, which is right there as we look out the window. So Jan didn't have an excuse for not being here, right? Jan is on the board of directors of the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund. She's a great friend of mine and mentor. And just recently, in the past month, I think it was, the Washingtonian magazine selected Jan as one of the most 25 most powerful women. Well, I think it said in Washington, D.C., but I think it's in the world. I mean, you have to give, you know how they say, if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it is a duck. So let's give Jan a round of applause for the great work that she is doing. And she also has spoken during our philanthropy month meeting. And it will take half the night to share all of her philanthropic efforts. So she's not just someone who's earning funds and keeping it for herself. There is a list that I encourage you to go to, the JMA Solutions website, and look at how she is making a difference in the lives of many, many different areas. Okay, let's give her a hand again. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Thelma, for that update. We appreciate it. Sure.
Oh no, it's starting at the Pipe Basin on Wallenberg Drive, which is where it starts every year. No, this is the American Cancer Society making strides against breast cancer. And thank you for calling that to my attention, because I made the assumption that everyone knew that I was talking about the ACS war when I said that Laura and Bria were the American Cancer Society. So yeah, that's two different wars. Yeah. It's, I think registration is at 8 a.m. Okay.
Okay. So now we're going to have closing remarks by Dr. Carla Williams.
Well, I think we all have really come to a place where we got something out of tonight. We've heard from people who have had similar experiences at different phases of life, and understanding just the complexity of that experience, but also hearing the resilience and going along with the theme, hearing and experiencing the love that we can still feel from those relationships, and pouring into their children and being surrounded by family and community. I think that's something that we can all relate to no matter what our experience. So I want to thank the speakers again for sharing their experience with us tonight. I'll make my closing remarks very brief, and I'm going to make them very simple. I want us to take with us a call to action, and really two things. One action to take home with you tonight is to just take a moment before you rest your head, or as you rest your head tonight, to just reflect on your day today, and perhaps reflect on this experience tonight. Because many of us, we run, as my grandma would say, from pillar to post. I don't know what that meant, but apparently it meant you're just doing too much all the time, and you never stop to just rest and B, reflect. What have you experienced today? And importantly, how have you perhaps experienced something divine today? How have you experienced something spiritual today? Was there a message for you that perhaps you were too busy to hear? So one call to action is to, as you go home tonight in your quiet place, take just a few minutes to reflect. Open your heart, open your mind, open your spirit, and I can guarantee you there is something for each and every one of us that has come to us today, and I want to make sure that each and every one of us receives it for ourselves. Now, the second thing is much more practical. I want you to reflect, but then I want you to share something that you have gotten out of this session with someone else. There's so much good information that has been shared, from the community updates to the lived experience of the speakers. One thing that you will hold, and you'll know when that person needs to hear it. Maybe it's a family going through something similar. Maybe it's a research project that a young woman can participate in. We don't know what it is, but think about in that other part of your reflection, what is it that you can now, as we say in our event, pay forward? We've gotten a lot tonight from this whole experience. What's one thing that we can pay forward to someone else? And hold that, put that in your hip pocket, because you never know when you're going to need it. So that's my closing remark. Reflect for yourself, figure out what you have received and what you need to hold for yourself to edify yourself. And then think about throughout the day, throughout this evening, what's something that you're going to hold in your pocket for the next person who needs to receive it from you. And I think in that way, we can continue to support this great work that Thelma does. And I'll put in my own plug. There is a fundraiser going on. Make sure you go to the website if you have not already done so, and support this great initiative so that we can keep these great support groups going for years and years to come. So thank you very much. And thank you for being such a great hostess tonight. Thank you, Thelma, for inviting me.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to be very, very brief and just extend my gratitude to the folks on the call, on the Zoom call, for staying with us this evening, for everyone in this room. Our speakers were amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Williams, to our wonderful, wonderful speakers and caregivers tonight. Thank you, Johnny and Chris, for sharing. And as someone said earlier, just being vulnerable and giving us all. I can go home and think of 20 things that I got out of this meeting today. So I'm full of gratitude, and for you, Thelma, for putting together an amazing agenda. This agenda was, like I said, from the I have never been to a meeting where we really focused on caregivers and their partners. So thank you, and for all your diligence. You work so hard. So thank you too. And have an amazing evening. And please don't forget that we have to do a photo for Thelma's website, because she said so. And also that there's a raffle. And are you gonna? Okay.
Okay, everyone, please take out your raffle tickets that our Howard University volunteers were so helpful with. Okay. We're going to do, well, let's let Johnny pull the lucky ticket. And while we're doing that, we want to thank our caterer. Did she leave already? Okay. Bria Charlton, our caterer. And we also want to thank my church, St. Augustine's Episcopal Church, for allowing us to have this beautiful space. This is our caterer. We've used her for the second time in a row. So she was our caterer last month, and she was our caterer again this month. And maybe if we have in person in December, hopefully she will be free because I think our November meeting will be via Zoom. Okay, so Chef Bria Charlton. Okay, okay, you're welcome. Okay, so we're going to do the $50 raffle. Then we're going to take the pictures. But for those of you who have a flexibility in your schedule, we have about 5 raffle prizes. So after we've done the pictures, if you want to stay around and be a part of the raffle, you can. Okay, so Johnny, what tickets did you pull?
5927356.
That's me. No, you must be present to win. Oh, I hope that wasn't. Oh, that's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And so afterwards, we have thank you, a $100 raffle to Hen Quarter Prime, and some other raffle tickets, other raffle prizes. So can we all now go out so we can take the picture? If you need something pink, I have a number of pink socks.
Still on?
Hey, brother. Good job.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you everyone for joining via the Zoom. We have closed the meeting.